You're not stuck because of the market. You're stuck because you didn't evolve. And deep down, you already know that.
Let me paint you a picture. Late at night, screen glowing in a dark room, a setup you've watched for days finally lines up perfectly. Everything makes sense. You enter. 40 minutes later, it's red. You tell yourself it needs room. You move the stop a little, then a little more. You start checking indicators you never use, looking for anything that can save you from one simple truth. You are wrong. And you can't accept it yet. You close the trade, the loss hits the account, but the real damage happens just after. The silence, the chart still glowing, and that question you never say out loud. What if the problem isn't my strategy? What if it's me? That moment isn't bad luck. It's not random, and it's not just part of trading. That moment is a stage. There are 5 stages every trader goes through. Most never make it past stage 3, and until you know exactly where you are, you keep repeating the same cycle and calling it experience. So let's go over the 5 stages and find out where you really are. Stage 1, the gambler. This is where we have all started. No real process, no tested edge, just price moving, emotion rising, and a finger on the trigger. You don't enter because your system says so. You enter because the market feels alive and you don't want to miss it. One win convinces you you've got talent. 3 losses later, you blame the broker, the spread, the news, and the market makers. Anyone except the person making the decisions. If you've ever taken a trade just because you were tired of waiting, this stage is not behind you. The trap of stage 1 is obvious. You think you're trading the market, but in reality, you're reacting to stimulation. That's dangerous. And that's why most people never escape it. They confuse action with progress. They blow the account, reload, do it again, and eventually disappear. But if you do survive stage 1, the next stage is more challenging, because now your mistakes are sneaky. Stage 2, the student. This is the stage where you get serious. You start learning everything: market structure, Fibonacci, supply and demand, smart money, indicators, liquidity, order flow, psychology, risk management. Your bookmarks grow, your screenshots grow, your vocabulary grows. But strangely, your results don't.
Oh shit, here we go again.
How is that possible? Well, because knowledge without self-mastery is just expensive confusion, because stage 2 has a painful illusion. Learning feels like progress, even when your behavior hasn't changed. If you've bought multiple courses, watched hundreds of hours of trading content, and still break your rules in live trades, you're probably here. That doesn't mean you're failing, because even when it feels messy, you are collecting pieces, patterns, mistakes, observations. You're building the raw material that real discipline will eventually shape. More videos on self-mastery and discipline are coming. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss them. The harsh part of this stage is when it becomes a prison, when information turns into avoidance, when studying becomes easier than executing, when watching becomes easier than journaling, when one more strategy becomes the excuse that protects you from consistently testing yours. And that leads to the hardest stage of all, because stage 3 is where traders stop being clueless and start being divided against themselves. Stage 3, the survivor. This is where it gets painful, because now you have a strategy, and it works. I mean, sometimes. You've had excellent weeks where you started daydreaming about that fancy lifestyle. You started letting yourself believe it was clicking, and that's exactly why stage 3 hurts more than the first 2. You are no longer blindly losing. You are almost becoming the trader you want to be. And then you burn it all down. Ever felt that rage that the market is against you? You enter a long position, a winning one, but it won't do the way you want until it hunts your stop. And then, boom, the price rise exactly to where you expected. Now you want to smash the screen into pieces. Congratulations, you fell into the stage 3 trap. And even when the trade is going well, You're up 30 pips, 40 pips, and your chest tightens and your mind starts betraying you. What if it reverses? What if you give it all back? You close it. Walk away with half the target. Watch from the sidelines as it runs another 80 pips to exactly where you planned. Now, you are doubting everything. You feel self-betrayed. You know the rules, but you broke it anyway. Not because you're stupid, but because something much deeper took over you. A part of you shaped long before you even knew about trading. The part that avoids pain, protects what you have. So here is the simple rule. If your backtests look better than your live account, stage 3 is speaking through you. If your strategy works on paper but falls apart the second real money is involved, this is your stage. Now it's not about the strategy anymore, it's about your relationship with uncertainty, with loss, with being wrong, with self-control. It's about you. This is where I've seen most traders quit, when they are close enough to taste consistency, but still trapped inside the same emotional reflexes that keep stealing it from them. The only gap between stage 3 and stage 4 is honesty. Brutal honesty. The moment you stop asking, why does this keep happening to me? And start asking, why am I betraying myself? An interesting shift happens. The awakening. Stage 4 usually doesn't arrive after a big win. It arrives after a loss you can't blame on anyone else. A loss so unnecessary, so self-inflicted, that it strips away every excuse. And for the first time, instead of defending yourself, you speak the truth. I am the variable. That sentence can break a trader, or it can free one, because the moment you stop blaming the market, you finally get your hands back on the wheel. Now your questions change. You don't ask, what indicator would have saved that trade? But, what was I feeling right before I moved my stop? Not, how do I avoid losses? But, how can I correctly execute my edge? If you've ever followed your plan perfectly and felt more proud of that than the money itself, you've touched stage 4. This is where journaling becomes real, and where discipline stops being motivational language and becomes daily behavior. The chaos starts to disappear. The emotional spikes get smaller. The revenge trades become less frequent. The need to force opportunities weakens. And then, slowly, the results begin to reflect a trader who is no longer fighting himself on every position. Same charts, same market, different person. That's the awakening. And very few traders ever reach it, but the ones who do start to see the reality. Profit is not just a strategy outcome, it's a personality outcome. And that brings us to the final stage, the one almost everyone talks about, but very few truly earn. Stage 5, the Stoic. From the outside, this stage doesn't look as sexy as it sounds, but on the inside, it feels like peace. No more rush when you enter a trade. No panic when price pulls back. No obsession with every candle. You did the work before pulling the trigger. You planned the setup. You defined the risk. You accepted the loss before entering. And once the trade is live, you let the edge play out. That's what stage 5 really is. Not perfection, not fearlessness, not some mythical state where trading becomes easy forever. It's emotional neutrality earned through repetition, pain, and self-control. If you can take a loss without needing revenge, you're approaching stage 5. If you can let a winning trade reach its target without getting excited or anxious, you're approaching stage 5. If you no longer need the market to prove that you're smart, talented, or worthy, you are very close. The Stoic trader protects capital the way a father protects his children. He doesn't need excitement. He doesn't need constant validation. He doesn't need to be right every day. He needs one thing: to keep showing up as the same disciplined person, over and over, long enough for probabilities to do their job. That's why few traders make it here. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack information, but because this stage demands something unique: self-command. So, where are you really? Not the version you describe to other people, not the trader you hope you'll become 6 months from now, right now, in your real account, with your real habits, under real pressure. What stage are you in? Write it down in the comments, because naming it matters more than you think. The trader who can tell the truth about his stage is already moving differently from the one who keeps hiding inside excuses. And if your honest answer is stage 2 or stage 3, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're still in the part of the story where the market is forcing you to become someone new. That process is ugly, and most people quit inside it, but it's also where real traders are made. If this video felt uncomfortably accurate, subscribe. More value is coming, as this channel is not about giving you more trading noise. It's about helping you become the trader who never betrays himself.